Hello all. Welcome to the webinar on techgeek.com. Today's topic of the webinar is Master Data Management, Data Governance, Leadership and Best Practices. To present this webinar, we have with us Mr. Dinesh Chandrasekhar, Director CRM and MDM Practice at Hitachi Consulting India. Dinesh has over 14 years of rich IT experience in CRM, MDM and BI implementations, management consulting and strategic advisory services to CXOs. He is currently heading the Hitachi Consulting GDC CRM and MDM practice. Gentlemen, this presentation will continue for next 45 minutes and you can ask your questions by typing in the chat pane available in webinar control panel. So without further delay, I invite Dinesh to present this webinar. Over to you, Dinesh.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining this webinar. I know it's a Friday afternoon. I really appreciate you taking time to attend this webinar. Okay, so today's topic is Master Data Management, Data Governance, Leadership and Best Practices. So why I've chosen the topic of Master Data Management? The reason is that there's one technology which really fascinates me because it gives a lot of importance to the data, right? So when you have the technologies like ERP, CRM and all these technologies will not be of real use if you don't have a quality data. So that's the significance of having an MDM application in an organization. Okay, the agenda for today's presentation is we will see the impact of poor data and the need for data quality. Why MDM and especially the customer of solutions. What are the customer data problems and what are the solutions we have? And the significance of data governance leadership strategies, data stewardship best practices, and we have open forum where you can ask questions and I'll be happy to address. Okay, so before we get on to the main topic, I want to introduce you to some of the acronyms that are used in the MDM. EIM, which stands for Enterprise Information Management, EDM for the Enterprise Data Management, and you have a set of other acronyms as well. The most important ones you will continue to see in this presentation is UCM, which stands for Universal Customer Data Hub, Product Data Hub, and other hubs which you see below. Okay. How clean is your windshield? Ultimately, poor data is like a dirt on the windshield. You may be able to drive for a long time with slowly degrading vision, but at some point you either have to stop and clear the windshield and risk everything. So this was given by Ken Moore Institute. So Ken Moore is actually one of the leaders in the data architecture management, and they also do a lot of consulting around the data governance. So this is what they have to say. So having a dirty data is going to cost you a lot if you're not going to take an action. That was the message which Ken Moore Institute is giving us. Okay, so coming on to the impact of poor data quality. Fortune 1000 enterprise will lose more money in operational inefficiency due to data quality issues than they will spend on a data warehouse and CRM initiatives. The data integration and data quality fundamental prerequisite for any implementation, whether it's a CRM, SCM, or ERP. So if you look at the different functions in an organization, be it a customer service, operational efficiency, you want to improve IT agility or a compliance, everything is centric around the data. Take for example the customer service. If you don't have proper data, you cannot effectively cross-sell or upsell your product or services, and it may lead to low call center productivity or a customer service productivity. An increased marketing mailing cost. Say if you don't have a proper address, you couldn't send the right information to the customer and you'll not be able to get them to buy your products. Similarly, the other examples given here with respect to the risk and compliance management. Take for example a banking industry, right? Know your customer. If you don't have the right customers information about the customer, you get to offer the products and end up losing more money, or it may also lead you to get into a situation which may get into a legal complication. Say for example, you get to offer a credit card, right, to the same customer, multiple credit cards without knowing he is the same customer. Similar is the case with operational efficiency, the delayed sales order, sales cycle time, sales order errors, and mediocre campaign response rate. And also when it comes to IT, the increased integration cost, increase the time to bring new projects and service to the market, and proliferation of data problems from silos to more applications. Okay, so what we are seeing here is that you get to see a lot of channels and a lot of application. So each of them are being point-to-point integrated. That is, they have a common mechanism to share the master data, right? So every application and channel will carry a lot of redundant data about a customer, product, or service. This in turn will lead to a lot of complications in all the functions we talked about. Okay, so the key enterprise process which are placed on this unclean or incomplete data, it's going to take a hit, be it a marketing, sales, or a customer retention process. Unclean data makes analytics invalid, and you have error-prone integration and slows enterprise agility and innovation. Okay, so what is this master data, right? The master data is the repository to keep all your information about the customers, products, and other master entities. Master data is the one which doesn't change over a period of time, right? Like a transaction data, it keeps changing frequently, but master data, it will not change frequently, but it also a candidate to change. So for example, the customer information. The customer demographic information is not sacrosanct, it will change, but at the same time, the frequency of the change of the data is not on a day-to-day basis, right? So same is applicable to the product, activity, not activity, site, right? So all this has been called as a master data. So what happens is that you get the master data from multiple channels and multiple applications, and it gets integrated to the hub, which we call it as an MDM application suite. From the hub, you can generate analytics. You can use this information to feed back to your source system to make sure they have the golden record of either the customer or the product. So the source of clean data for the enterprise, that's what we call it as a MDM. And it is data, the MDM is one of the most valuable asset. Okay, so coming to the customer app, right? So you have a lot of master data management application suite. Why I've chosen a customer app is that it is one of the very prominent solution, and it's almost like more than 8 years in the market, and it's been very successful. One of such product is Siebel Universal Customer Master. Now it's also called as an Oracle Customer App. So today, the customer information doesn't come only from applications, only from channels. You also get to integrate and collect information from a lot of the social network sites, be it a LinkedIn, Facebook, Flickr, Yahoo, you name it. Your customer information is residing everywhere. Okay, so the application which is going to house the customer information should also have a capability to extract the information from all these sources. Okay, so that's where the need for the customer app comes, not only to take the data from the internal applications as well as to take the data from the social network sites. Okay, so why you need a customer app? One is to maximize your customer retention. So having a complete information about your customer will help you to approach your customer and makes the customer interaction more informative, as well as able to help him with the right services and product. And also it increases your selling efficiency. You know exactly what is the customer is looking for, right? Suppose if he buys a car, right, you know what is type of service that is required for him, when is after service or accessories that is required for him. So it will be able to help you to increase your cross-selling and upselling ability and reduce the cost and risk. As I mentioned to you earlier, looking at a banking industry, right? So if there are a lot of fraudulent activities happening, right, you will be able to cull out the black ships from your real valid customers. So that's where your customer hub helps you to find out the redundant customer record, refine them, and get the golden record, and associate all the transactions that are related to that particular customer in the hub. And it also publishes back to all the source systems. So every source system will have only one golden record of the customer. Okay, so a little more from a statistic perspective collected by Gartner. So it shows the customer projects really benefited the organization. They were able to improve the CRM performance to increase revenue and market share. So customers on average generated 2 to 5% increased revenue from sales with MDU. And when it comes to operational efficiency, efficiency of operation increased with the improved processes and data governance. And efficiency of IT operating results in greater agility on a business models. The same is case with the compliance. So take for example in US, there is a lot of emphasis on the privacy, right? The privacy, when I say if a customer chose not to get a call or not to receive a direct mail from any of the companies, it has to be honored. If it is not going to be honored, the customer has the legal power to sue the particular company and take it to the extent even it can end up in a bankruptcy, right? So all this can be enforced using a customer app in addition to having the CRM and ERP applications. So poor data quality is the most common reason why organizations do not realize the benefits of the data platform investment, including CRM, BI, and data warehousing. Okay, so there are different styles of customer app. So we have registry style, consolidation style, and transaction style. So if you ask me, there is nothing like there is a best style the customer should go for. I mean, company or an organization should go for. It really depends on what is your vision for the MDM, right? Some companies may have a huge customer data. Some companies may have only a little of customer data. Take for example, a company like Boeing, right? The direct customers of Boeing or a few of the aircrafts, right, majors who may buy the aircraft and parts from Boeing. So altogether, if you put it, it couldn't be more than 10,000 customers or 15,000 customers. But if you take a retail unit where you have lakhs and lakhs of customers, so both of this requires a customer app, right? And each of the business operations are different. So the customer app itself has to go through a lot of changes to accommodate to this particular business groups. So in registry style, what we do here is that we collect all the customer record into the hub, cleanse them, match them, try to reduce the redundancy of the customer data and keep it in a repository. So this is not being fully integrated. So what you have is a repository of all your golden record of the customer hosted. This is registry style. So I would call it a simple and faster, and you may get short-term gain. Now we come to the consolidation style. The consolidation style is that where you can synchronize the data from the source systems, but you cannot really publish back the data to the source systems. So these apps have been built predominantly for the reporting and analytics purpose. And I would call it as a medium complex implementation, and it could be a short to middle term gain. Now comes the real hub, which we call it as a transactional hub. The transactional hub is a one, it not only collects the customer record, cleanse it, and identifies the golden record, it also publishes back to the source system. So every source system will have something called subscribe and publish. What I mean by subscribe is that whenever a customer record is created in any of the source system, it will be automatically sent to the customer hub. In the customer hub, a profiling of the data is done. It will be cleansed, standardized, matched with any of the records of the customer already existing. If it is a duplicate, it gets merged and you get a golden record of the customer that in turn is published back to the source system. Now the source systems, if they already have the same customer record but with incorrect data, with the facility UP provides as well as with the integration, the incorrect data is replaced with the golden record of the customer, which is perfected and it's the right information about the customer. Okay, so I want to talk a little more about Oracle Enterprise Master Data Management, which I specialize in. I know very little about the other MDMs, but we can take Oracle as more or less like a sample, right? Because it has got a very good functionalities to address a lot of the data quality issues, which is very common if you take IBM InfoSphere or Informatica's Hyperion. So looking more from the perspective of the functionality rather than tagging this as an Oracle product. Okay, so you see here it requires a middleware for us to real-time integrate to the source system. Then you also need an analytics MDM to see how much of the records have been cleansed, standardized, and how much of the golden records have been generated. And then you need an enterprise data quality, right? So this forms the foundation for any MDM product. Then you have all the different MDM product suites. You have Customer Hub, you have Supplier Hub, you have Financial Hub, also Hyperion. I mean, it's a combination of financial transaction hub and Hyperion, and you have a site hub and you have a product hub. And it also has a database, not necessarily an Oracle database, it could be any database, right? So the subscribing applications you see CRM, ERP, and it could also be a legacy application. You also get to see EPM and business intelligence culling out the data for the analytics purpose. So this is how a master data management application suite looks like. Okay, so coming back again to the customer hub solution. So these are the players in the customer hub solutions. So you get to see IBM, Oracle. Within Oracle you have Siebel UCM as well as Oracle Customer Data Hub. Then you have SAP, Data Flags, Visionware, and all this. So each of these companies and products, they have their own strength. So even though it has been mentioned as IBM and Oracle being a leader, Hyperion itself actually is gaining momentum, and you can see a lot of projects happening in Europe with Hyperion after the acquisition of Informatica. Right? But the entire chart shows you that actually every other blue chip vendor is focusing on the master data management and especially on the customer hub solutions. Okay, so what constitutes a customer hub? There are three components to a customer hub, right? One is the data quality, second is the application integration architecture, and third is the data governance manager and analytics. So data governance manager is the one we are going to see it in detail. It's more of a strategic than a technology oriented. So a art of the customer hub depends on the integration, data quality, and the data governance. And you see when you load the first time data, normally it is done through a batch integration process. You bring in the customer records from multiple applications and use the Oracle data quality to cleanse it. The real-time architecture comes in place when you have mastered the golden record of the customers and you publish it back to the different source systems. Okay. Here you see a sample solution architecture of a customer hub. So it is not very specific to any customer. It is just a sample, right? So don't give too much importance to the application names that were given there. Okay. So what you see, customer hub, and it's been integrated to the multiple applications. So you have have Oracle ERP, Clarify, Oracle Siebel, Salesforce, Neolane. So all these source applications, they are source of the customer data, right? They send the customer data to the customer hub, and if you see the double arrows, right, it mentions to you also this data gets published back to the which is once again some information which are not residing in your source system. Then how do you enrich the customer data? The question here is that suppose Dun & Bradstreet provides you a lot of intelligent customer information. So you can enrich your customer information. Say, for example, you want to know about the credit worthiness of a customer, right? So this may not be coming from your source system. So you have to integrate to a credit worthy system. It could be a DNB, or it could be like a CARE, Chrysler, and all these ratings agencies. They'll give you more information about your customer, and you can enrich the customer data. And again, as I mentioned to you, from the MDM, it pulls out the data and it's been used for analytics and data warehouse. So when you talk about analytics, right, the analytics tool is really, the robustness of analytics tool really depends on the quality of the data, right? You may build a beautiful analytics system, but if you don't have the right information, it is going to throw back a junk as a dashboard. So it's very important to get the record cleansed from the hub, pass it to the source system, then you apply the analytics tool to get the right dashboards. Okay, so this is a reiteration of what we have discussed. So if you look at the key components of a customer app, or for that matter any MDM product suite, it could be a product or a supplier app. First is a consolidate, right? You have to consolidate all your master data information from multiple source system. If you take Oracle customer app, so what are the functionalities it are providing? It provides an import workbench. Not necessarily the data should be migrated. You should also be given a tool where you can use an Excel to import the data into the hub and to the data cleanse. So that is one of the functionality. Then identification and cross-reference. So when a data comes into the customer app, how do you know the data is coming from a CRM or a ERP? So it has to be tagged with an identification and cross-reference ID. Source data history, this is very important. Say for example, when the data is coming, right? And there could be the same data coming from the same source system after 2 days or a week time. How do you maintain the audit trail of the data? That's what the source data is about. And rule-based survivorship rule, this is very important. You have to say which system carries the maximum weightage of your data. Take for example, you have an ERP system which is sending the customer information, also a CRM system. Now you would say the CRM system carries 80% of the weightage when it comes to the customer. ERP system carries 40%. So if an address change is coming from an ERP system and from a CRM system, because the weightage of a CRM system is 18%, the CRM system change would be updated in the hub and it will be published back to the ERP system. And it could be vice versa when it comes to a product. For a product, ERP will have the maximum weightage and CRM will have a less weightage. Okay, so net, the idea is that you can define the strength of your source system to update the hub. Then you talk about a cleansing. So cleansing is very specific to the tool which you're going to use as a data quality tool in your MDM project. Oracle has multiple versions of data quality applications. They have something called Informatica Data Quality, and the recent acquisition Datanomics, which they're calling it as an Oracle Enterprise Data Quality. So, or you can also use Trillium, Informatica, the other tools data quality. So what is most important is this functionality. It should be able to merge and unmerge data. We also talked about enriching the data, that is taking the information from the reliable source and to improve the customer data. The other important thing is address validation, right? So you should have all the information about a specific country. Even if a wrong address comes in, right, to a certain extent you should be able to correct it. That is called address validation. Then data decay. What I mean by data decay is that suppose if your customer record is not being changed for a year, it shows you there is something wrong with the data. That is, the source system is not really updating the data and sending it to you. So you set your own rules to check on the data decay. And multiple languages. This is very, very important. Suppose if you have a person by name Mr. Robert, right? The Robert, you will see it in English, and the Robert, you may also get it in Spanish, then in Arabic. So multiple language. Within multiple language, how do you match the records? Whether a particular customer app or a data quality solution provides you the ability to match the same customer information in different languages. That's very important. Then we talk about the integration part. So the integration tool you're going to use, whether it could be a Fusion middleware, TIBCO, BizTalk, whatever it may be, whether it has the right framework to have all the web services, because everything now is based on XMLs, right? So does it have the good collection of the web services library? Publish and subscribe functionalities are available. Does it support all the connectors and transporters? When I say connectors, Oracle builds some connectors between different ERPs and customer app solutions. So do they have the connectors? And registry and authorization. The last but not the least, the data governance part, very important, right? So you may have all the wonderful system, the great data, but if you don't have a data governance in place, right, all this may not be really useful, okay? So the organization should define the right policies, processes, and people, right, to take care of the data, who should own the data, who has the ability to change data. All this has to be defined. This we call it as the govern. Okay, some examples of the customer data quality issues. Okay, so the one that is highlighted, so you get to see two matching records, right? Bob Williams and Robert Williams. They are the same records, but are redundant information. Then coming to the non-standard formats, you look at the telephone number, they are on a different format. Some are with hyphens, some are like without hyphens, some are with space and all this. Then you see a misfielded data, where in place of an email, you get to see a number. There are missing data. Then typos. Say for example, the city name is Newton, somebody has misspelled it. And you have also the multiple names in the name field. And you have mixed business and contact names. This is an ideal scenario where you would get to see in any company. It could be a Fortune 500 company, or it could be a small retail unit, or it could be even if you take a small proprietary departmental stores, if they're maintaining any information about the customer, right? This is what you get to see. So this tells you the importance of having a master data management solution, especially if you're looking at customer. This is what you need. So if you go on a data quality path, what happens is that a lot of people ask me when I go for this consulting, why should I go for an MDM project, right? I can very well use the data quality and get it cleansed. So it is basically, I would say, yes, it's possible, but you should really discipline your organization, because every channel, every employee who is going to enter this data, they should primarily take the ownership of the data they're entering. And if they are disciplined, we don't need any solution. But because of the volume of business and the amount of pressure the employees and channels, whatsoever the data, that whatever the channels are giving the information, right, you get to see this type of junk information coming, and it may lead into a different issue. Say for example, Robert Williams and Bob Williams. If you're not able to differentiate, if you're not able to identify them as the same customer, then there is a lot of fraudulent activities is possible with this type of data. So Robert Williams record may have a lot of default on the payments, but still you go and give the same customer, recognizing him as a Bob Williams, another product or a service. Okay, so potentially to avoid all these pitfalls, I recommend people to look at a customer app. Okay, so when you look at what are the different types of problems again, right? So I have marked something in red, yellow, green, and other colors, right? So it shows you It is not a question of a completeness alone. It is completeness, conformity, consistency, duplication, integrating, and accuracy. Okay, and also for the ease and convenience to go through these slides again, I'll upload this presentation to the slide share, and I'll put a link in the same TechGeek webinar site in the question answer session. So you'll be able to download this presentation and have a little more deep look into these slides to get the essence of this information. Okay, now coming again to the what Oracle offers as a solution for these problems, right? So how do we, there are a lot of times people ask, how do I start an MDM project? What is the prerequisite for me to complete certain things before I gear up for an MDM project? The first important thing every organization should do is that they should have a fair understanding of what type of data they have, right? In terms of, do they have accurate data, consistent data? When I say data, I'm talking about each and every field, right? Suppose if you have collected your customer information, you have 20 fields. Out of these 20 fields, 15 fields are great. You have no issues. But the last 5 fields, it doesn't have the right information. Take, for example, the last 5 fields being telephone numbers, your email ID, your PAN card details, your address, and one another thing, right? You may have all the beautiful information about the customer, but if you don't have this detail, it is almost like a junk. You'll not be able to contact the customer. You will not be able to send the right information to the customer, and having that customer information is useless. Okay, so for that, you need to do the profiling of the data. So every data quality tool should also extend itself with a tool for doing the profiling. So Oracle has an offering called OEDQ profiling, which is OEDQ is nothing but a datanomics application. So you profile the data and understand how much of the structured and unstructured patterns that are prevailing in your database. Then you do a parsing and standardization. So when I say standardization, say for example, some call it as a USA, America, North America, US. But you cannot have all these versions, right? It's one just example. Similarly, it could be anything. Say for example, something like Robert, Bob. So you have to arrive at one standardized format. So once you standardize the data, what you need to do is that come at the cleansing. Cleansing is also more or less to identify the typos, the characters and all this, and try to get to a near perfection. And then you have the matching and linking, right? So once you have done all this, then you run your matching engine. So matching engine will tell you how many of the redundant customer informations are available. Then you come to the enrichment. The enrichment, as I mentioned to you, you could use the DNB or any of the service providers like Acronyms to enrich your customer data. So when you go for an MDM project, what you should look at is the data quality tool, which is going to be part of the MDM stack, should be able to support a profiling, parsing, standardization, cleansing, matching, and also, last not the least, enrichment. But enrichment is more or less like an option, but the first 4 are really very critical. Okay, now coming to the data governance leadership. What is data governance? DG is all about establishing the strategies, objectives, policies to effectively manage corporate data by specifying accountability on data and its related process, including the decision rights. For example, DG defines who owns the data, who creates records, who can update them, and also who arbitrates the decision when data management disagreements arise. This is very important. Sometimes I get to see, like for example, one department, say for example finance, another department which is like procurement. They get to fight about the customer data. Finance says, hey, whatever the data I have is correct, and whatever that you have is less perfect than what I have. Procurement come with another example and say, no, whatever the data they have. Both of them can be true. It really depends on what system they are using, how disciplined the people are in the particular department, or which is a system that overrides the record in these two systems. So a person should be there who arbitrates to identify when there is a conflict arises and take important decisions to say who should update the data and whose data is, how much of percentage it's valid, perfect. So like every other technology, this also, like every other strategy, you need a people, technology, and processes to make a data governance leadership. When I talk about people, you should have a data governance committee. You should have a data stewards, project managers, and technology groups. Technology, we talked about integrations, data governance, data dictionary, TQ reports. All these are part of technology. The most important with respect to data governance are the processes. You should define and measure information quality, create and maintain data asserts, that is data definitions, review new and current projects for data impact, right? So as and when a new project starts in an organization, right, you get to see there is a tremendous amount of change that are coming into the other enterprise applications as well. It may introduce or it may intervene in some of the process. So you should make sure that doesn't affect your data quality standards. Then we talked about resolve conflict. What is your conflict process? Conflict resolution process. And how do you train people to make sure they adhere to the data governance standards and discipline and enter the right data and maintain the right data? Okay, now why there is a need for the data governance technology, right? Define, communicate, and enforce. So the data governance community takes the responsibility to define enterprise master data, define and view data policies, administer up, right? Once you are after the implementation of the customer hub or a product hub, it has to be administered by a data steward, and the data steward is part of the data governance committee or a council. Then monitor hub operation. So he has to analyze the hub data quality metrics. So implementing hub is not enough. You also have to monitor whether the hub is churning out the golden record, right? So that has to be governed. Then track sources of bad data. So hub doesn't guarantee you that your source systems will generate a good record. For example, you have implemented hub, but your CRM system continues to give you chunk records after and after again. So the problem is not with the hub. The problem is with the CRM system. The CRM system should have the right telephone information, right? If it doesn't going to give you right telephone information, however you have a very strong customer hub, it is not going to give you do some magic and give you the right telephone number. It may standardize, but it's not going to give you a missing telephone number. Same with the case with operability. So execute day-to-day hub operation, perform data steward tasks such as merge and unmerge. So sometimes you will see in the coming slides there is a functionality for merging the records and also to unmerge the records. Sometimes it comes to the data stewards evaluation, right? It doesn't do the automatic merge. So this also has to be taken care by the data stewards. Fix data issues. So fix import errors, resubmit corrected data, proactively watch and repair data, tune data quality rules. So these are the facts why we need a data governance as well as the data stewardship. Okay, so this is actually for your, it has got a lot of information, this slide, and anyhow when you download this from a slide share, you will get to see the complete parts of it. At a high level, what we are saying is that there should be a leadership council, which is like a sponsors. Then you also have a data governance committee, which is a constituent of the subject matter experts as well as the IT domain owners. Then coming down a little, you have the business data managers, who are nothing but each of the department or source system owners. On the IT side, you should have an IT architect, development maintenance manager, and technical manager. Then further below, you see process stewards, data stewards, IT data personnel, IT application personnel, IT integration personnel, and you have a consumer base. So this is actually a data governance leadership structure looks like. So if you see, right, both during the implementation of a MDM project as well as after the implementation, the maintenance of the hub and maintaining the data quality, these are the people who are primarily responsible for that, right? So just implementing an hub doesn't guarantee you success. It is more to do with the maintenance and how rigorously you are able to enforce the data quality rules. Okay, so this is further explained about what is the activities of a leadership council and the responsibility. You have governance committee, business data managers, data stewards, and process stewards. So each of them, right, have a role to play to make this initiative successful. Okay, this once again a heavy slide. So we talk about a different set of activities that are involved in the data governance. So first is that establish a data governance leadership organization, and there are steps that are defined. Then establish the data governance charter and vision. Then establish data governance framework processes. Operationalize standards and policies. Then establishing a data stewardship process and formally kick off the customer data governance initiative. So there are so much of steps that are involved. So I've seen in multiple projects, right? This is where the organization really miss out, right? They feel this is not a compelling activity for them to do. What they feel is that, hey, get the data into the hub, cleanse it, and get me my golden record. I want to show it to my management. This has always been an objective or a goal for any organization, which is very wrong. That's the reason if you see 2 years down the line, those organizations are not really successful, and they come back and tell us, right, hey, you know what, XYZ vendors have implemented customer app MDM projects, but really we were not able to utilize those apps. The reason is because it was not manned by a data steward, or they don't have a proper data governance program or committee, so the entire thing fails. So it is very important to establish this formal structure right from the beginning of the project. Okay, so a couple of more information about how to set up a process and implement activities. And also the most important part here is that you should have some metrics. See, for example, the plot.
Hello, your voice is not reaching to us.
It could be like, I try to get all my customer addresses perfected by 60 or 70%. So like that, the metrics has to be defined. It is not only the metrics with related to the data on the customer app, it also for the source system. The source system has to correct the information. What they have to do is that one particular source system, if they're not going the right data, the data governance community should enforce the data governance community should enforce that they have to correct the data and start publishing it to the hub. Okay, so what are the key takeaways? So you have to establish a data governance leadership council from the very start of any MDM project. So to ensure data standards and compliance around consolidation, cleansing, governance, sharing, protection, data analysis, and data decay. Some examples of data council action items. Addition of any global languages needs DGC approval, Data Governance Council approval. So what happens is that if you look at a conglomerate or multinational companies, so what they do is that as and when they acquire companies, or as and they include operations of some of the countries which were not originally part of the operation. So it also introduce some languages. So it requires a very systematic approach when you bring in a system as well as the language of the data, right? So that requires a DGC approval. The DGC, when I say approval, it's not just approving. It is actually to look at pros and cons and see how it's going to affect the hub. Rules to curtail data decay need to be formalized. That is, if a data has not been updated for so long, it has to be going through a rigorous process and correction. Say for example, a call center agent picks up the customer telephone number and calls him and asks him, hey, this is the information we have. Is it really correct or you want to modify? Then hierarchy management. So for example, today we get to see a lot of business happens with your household information. Suppose your father is purchasing a product or a service from any of the companies, right? When you go for a product or service, you can use that as a loyalty program and try to get some discount or some additional privileges. So this is very important. So they maintain the hierarchy of customers. So the same is applied to the companies as well. So you have parent companies as well as the sister concern. So the customers' information is being not only helps the customers to benefit, also for the organization to strategically improve their business and give them the right loyalty offers. Then you have exception management process, more to do with the privacy related activities. So to make sure you are complying to the compliance rules of a specific countries, and any updates to the integration technology. So if organization decides to upgrade their integration or go for another tool, it also has to be. So these are some of the examples where people go back to the Data Governance Council or engage Data Governance Council in making those changes. Okay. We will have another 5 minutes. I will quickly cover the data stewardship best practices as well. Okay. So who is a data steward? A data steward is a person actually who guards the MDM application. So he is a person who is responsible to make sure the data that is residing in hub is perfect to the most, right, in whatever the form. So he keeps track of what is the records that are coming in from a different source system and what are the records that are flowing outside the customer hub. So he is being provisioned with some of the functionalities given by majority of the vendors. It could be Oracle, MDM or IBM on all this. So you could see there is a MDM analytics which shows the record completeness. So for example, if it takes in a week, the picture which you are seeing now, it talks about one particular week of the year where you see how much of the accurate information of the particular customer's records that have flown in. So you could get to see that. And it generates a report against the data governance committee to say where the data is flowing and which source system is not providing the right information, how the data is being fixed. Then you also have the rules engine. So there is something called an Oracle policy automation. So it helps you to predominantly take care of the privacy information. Say for example, if the information is flowing from multiple source systems, right? Some systems may say do not call, some systems say call and all this. So when you write a rule, it takes care of the making sure some of the compliance are being taken care. So even if it's one negative parameter in any of the system, it marks do not call, for example. If one system says customer said do not call, it puts a do not call and publish it back to the other system. And you have the enhanced data governance user interface. So Oracle has now released with the recent 8.2 version using a WebLogic servers. It also generates a lot of data governance related metrics. And you have the analytical MDM capabilities. Suppose you want to build your own dashboards beyond what is being provided by the product vendor, right? You can use any of the analytics tool, just pull the data and start building your own dashboards. Okay, so data steward performs the following operation on a day-to-day basis using the data steward application. So it does a suspect match. What is a suspect match is that whenever a duplicate record comes to a hub, it shows you this is a suspect record because I already see a golden record existing. This could be a duplicate. And then comes the merge request. The customer says, get to see two duplicate records. Could you please merge it? And you have incoming duplicate overview. As and when the data is flowing from the multiple source application, you get to see how many duplicates that are coming in. Then you also have a guided merge. When you have a guided merge, is something is that giving some parameters for the data steward to choose the right record to merge. And you have incomplete records where you can send a report back to the source systems and ask them to correct the data. And survivorship rules are nothing but, as I talked about, which system has the maximum weightage to update one specific field of a master data. The idea of this presentation is not to present to you the entire functionality, because it will take you days together to master master data management technology. What I see is that what are the insight which I can help you with. With this information, you can go and further explore and try to get as much of information on this MDM. Okay, so we just talked about merge. So there is something called, when do auto merge happens, when a manual merge happens. So it's once again the threshold scores that were given. It is not that you should have only this score. It could be less or more than this. So whenever there is a 90% match of two records, right, then you choose a record which you want that to exist. The existing record could be the old golden record or the new record that is going to come from XYZ system, right? So if there is a match of all the fields is coming to 90%, then automatic merge will happen. When a manual merge will happen is that if there is the threshold limit is less than 60 or 50%, then you may not be really knowing whether it's a duplicate record or it's a new record. Then it comes to the preview of the data steward. The data steward will look into both the records and he will choose the record which will exist. So that we call it as a manual merge. Okay, and the same thing is explained in this slide as well. And you have the same thing is explained about when you create a new record, when you merge actually. So if you feel that the data that is coming, even though there are some resemblance, it is not the same record, you need not merge, then you create a new record. Okay, so this screen is very important. So what happens is that you get to see the highlighted records, right? So you see the master record, which is a golden record, which is appearing in the Oracle Customer App application. And below that, you see a duplicate record, or looks like a duplicate record has also been put in. Now you have a choice, either to create a new record or to update it. So you can click on the link and update button. The link and update button, what it does is that it updates the information which is existing in the old record. Okay, suppose if you don't want to merge, then what you do is that you create a new record. So you click on the create new button, it creates a new record in the hub. Okay, in the screens, what you get to see is that the one that is appearing in the top applet, right, where you see the golden record already existing in the hub. And these are the duplicate records of the same customer that has come from a different system. So you see the first field, source systems, right? You get to see US, EDBA, those are the source system names. So the different customer records are flowing from the different source application. So you can choose either to create or merge records. The interesting part of ARB is that unmerge. Few years back, this unmerge functionality was not there. So what happens is that suppose by accidentally if you have merged two new records, they are not necessarily a duplicate records, then there is no option for you to unmerge. With the new age customer app application or any of the MDM products, it also gives you a privilege to unmerge it. So when you unmerge, you will be able to get back the old new records. And reject records. There are some times where you feel that, okay, this record is neither for a merge or for a guided merge. So you have to reject the record, so you reject it. So guided merge is something like it takes the two records and put it field by field to give you unsuggested also. Say for example, if you see this particular screenshot, you see a field name, main phone number, survivor and victim. There is nothing is there, but a suggested number, right? So it could be for this. So the suggested column will help you even to enhance the information. So this we call it as a guided merge. Okay, so then you have the incomplete record processing. The lot of records that are flowing into Hub, they're not consistent. Even after going through a data quality process, still you have for the data to be improvised or enriched. So the data steward is being given a screen to update the information and make it a little more perfect. Okay, so this is one example of the survivorship. So what you see is that you have a new incoming record from Siebel, and you have on the right existing record within the customer hub. Now what it does happen is that using survivorship rule, you can take the new incoming record as well as the existing record and try to build the best of the records. So what here happens, this is the one in the bottom, best version UCM record. You have name, but the telephone number is changed because the new incoming record from Siebel, it is always when something is coming new and it has got any of this telephone numbers, email ID, it means the customer has updated the information. So it updates the telephone number and gets you a new golden record. Okay, and you can define your own survivorship rule set. Okay, say for example, the confidence level. If you look at the screenshot, right, I'm not sure you'll be able to see it fully, but come to the bottom and you see there are source system. This is what we talked about earlier also. So we have the multiple source systems that are there. So when a data is coming from the multiple application, you give the confidence level. Say for example, I have put in one system by name UIS. So if any data which is going to come from UIS, it means it is 95% of confidence level. Confidence means it is 95% of the accuracy. So if a telephone number is going to come from UIS and a telephone number is going to come from another source system, I very well choose UIS over the other source system because the confidence level is more on that particular source system. What it says is that this system always churns out a very productive and quality data, so I have a higher confidence level. Okay, so these are once again some of the functionalities that are provided in the recent version of the Oracle Customer Hub. So you have guided merge, which we talked about, and we have a data decay dashboard. So it tells you from the fields which are there in the customer record, right, how much of this been updated. Sometimes it talks about even the complete customer record. If it's not been updated by 6 months, 1 year, and all this, right, it produces a dashboard so the data steward can go and rectify or ask for more information from the source system. Then you have an audit trail. How many times the customer record has been updated? Say for some record is being updated every week, so it shows that. Some records it may be updated every 3 months, but if you go to the customer record, it will tell you the history. Then we talked about a list import. Not every time the record needs to be migrated or integrated that's coming from use some integration. It is to empower the business users. They can use an Excel sheet, go to the Siebel UCM application, use the import button and import the data, and it will go to the complete data quality process, survivorship, everything, and you get a golden record. Okay, the last screen. So this is innovation that the Oracle has done on the Siebel UCM. So it's very interesting. If you see when I'm very fortunate that actually I'm seeing this product from its evolution. We are one of the partners who co-developed the Oracle Customer Hub with Siebel Corporation, or Siebel UCM with Siebel Corporation. Then it got acquired by Oracle. It's a very interesting journey. And more I see today, right, it has become one of the very strong and robust tool compared to other tools actually. And I tell you, this is actually a very demanding skills, and it's a dream for every IT professional to pick up this type of career, right? Because you get to see it's not only a technology, You also get to see a lot of strategies involved in the MDM project. And you see a lot of the top management guys are really focusing on this type of initiatives. It is not like I'm implementing a CRM. MDM initiative is going to bring every other application into it. So that's a significant. So for example, if you want to become an MDM specialist, what is required? You need to be a specialist in data quality. You need to be a specialist in integration. You need to be a specialist in understanding the master data. You also need to be a specialist in understanding the business, because without understanding a business, you cannot do much of a data enrichment, right? So for a true MDM professional, right, we look for all these qualities. You may not be an expert in the data quality, but if over the period of time, it is very much when you start working in this project, right, automatically you pick up the skills and you become a very full-fledged professional in MDM space. And thank you very much. For any questions and clarification apart from what we're going to have it here, you are welcome to send me a mail to either to my personal ID or to my official ID, and I also given my tutor. Thank you very much to the Times Group, and thank you very, very much for taking your time in attending this webinar, and open to the questions. Thank you.
The questions are shared with you. Can you see them in the questions window?
Yes. Okay. Who should be responsible for data quality? The question asked by Mr. Umesh. Okay. The data quality is actually, it's a responsibility of the organization. It is not either IT or a business. Everybody is responsible for data quality. I'll give you one example. Say for example, one customer has come and told us that we are not getting the right customer information. Maybe you should check my CRM system. So when we did go and did the analysis here, CRM system is perfectly giving all the information. What happens here is that when they go to the ERP application, right? ERP application is not fully integrated to the CRM application, and they maintain two different customer information there. So when they try to generate an order using an ERP, the orders are not rightly generated, and there are a lot of errors. And people think because the CRM system is not feeding the right information to the Oracle, it's failing. So the problem was with Oracle ERP. Now, can we blame Oracle ERP? No, we cannot blame Oracle ERP. The reason is that people should understand for seamless operation, right? They make sure that both the systems are integrated. Because for Oracle ERP, what that guy thinks is that whatever the data he has is the best. He has no clue the customer data is updated in the CRM system. So it was not integrated. It was like a very thin integration that had happened, but the data was not really flowing right from CRM to ERP. So the data quality is more of an organization initiative. Okay, the next question. I recently joined into a new organization, but there are many duplication in master data like typos, transactions, also going much affecting our analytic reports. How to cleanse our data to maintain the records correctly? Okay, so this is one of the points we discussed in the webinar as well. You cannot do an analytics with a junk data or a dirty data, right? So data needs to be perfect. So what I would advise you is that if analytics and reports are your primary objective, that is to generate a good reports, first try to get a good data quality tool. First, you have to do a data profiling. The data profiling will tell you how much of the junk data or incorrect, inaccurate data is there. Then you could get into a operation of cleansing the data and standardizing the data, and try to perfect it to the best possible without an MDM, and try to generate an analytic reports. I think the quality of the analytic reports will improve once you do this operation. But without that, if you want to do analytics, it's not going to help, right? So data quality activities is to be very important. The next question is from Mr. Dinesh Gandhi. Can you recommend any books on data governance? Okay, I don't recommend any books because the internet has got a wealth of information, and I don't feel that you need to read any books. What you need to do is that I advise you to read a lot of white papers. That would help you to understand a different perspective of a data governance. Okay, and sometimes it could be from Oracle or IBM as well, because whatever the white papers that were written, they were written on the real problems. But when you read a book, right, it is more of a theoretical knowledge. But data governance is very much a practical initiative, and it is not just a theory. How Hello.
Hello.
Sorry for that. Actually, there is some interruption. Okay, Keshav.
There are more questions I've shared with
Hello.
you.
Okay. Sorry, this is Dinesh again. I got some network issue. That got fixed. Okay, one question is that how a person from a data warehousing BI shift into an MDM, asked by Piyush. This is a very interesting question. And thing is that the skill is very much relevant to an MDM project, and it's also very much relevant to a big data, right? So MDM is no different from with respect to the skills, right? So what you need to pick up is that the data quality skills. Of course, you will have a very good data quality skills if you're working in any of the data warehousing projects or something. What you need to additionally understand is that what is the master data entity which you want to specialize in. It could be a customer app, it could be a product app, it could be a supplier app. Okay, so please focus on that, understanding that master data entity, and try to understand what are the different tools that are offered around the MDM. It could be IBM InfoSphere, Siebel UCM, Akka, Oracle Customer App, Informatica Hyperion, and all this. So if you a little more understand about the architecture of MDM, how these tools are functioning, it is easy. It's a gradual shift for you to move from a data warehousing to an MDM field. Okay, what are the high-level important points to be taken care when you're formulating a data governance model in case of mergers and acquisition? Fantastic question. See, mergers and acquisition is one of the reason why this MDM tools are there, right? So because now today in this environment, right, every day you get to see some mergers and acquisition happening. That means a lot of this new master data are going to be combined, collaborated, but still they need to be able to generate the same level of revenue. If two big conglomerates are going to merge, what happens is that both the customer information has to be housed in some application, right? So you get to see it's not only two companies, the merging of two huge number of IT applications coming together. The hubs are the real application which can integrate the data that is going to flow from these two applications. So that's where I see there is a huge opportunity. And as I mentioned to you, when you want to merge the data coming from two companies, it requires a very strong data governance council there. That is because you need to really understand the applications from each of these companies before taking a call. Say, for example, if you take a survivorship rule, so you first need to understand the application, how much of the data, relevant data is sitting in each of this application before taking a call on putting the weighted score and making an auto merge or a merge decision. Okay, I advise you to post a query to me and I'll get back to you in detail. If need be, we can also set up a call sometime next month. I'll be happy to answer this. Okay, and what are the training courses that are available? Uh, there are very limited training courses that are available in the local markets. Suppose I would advise you to look at more from the technology perspective. For example, if you want to do something like an Oracle or IBM, of course those vendors provide a lot of these training around MDM, not on the specifically on the data governance or data stewardship, but at least you can get a first insight about how this MDM tools functions. The next question is, I've worked on a PLSQL project. Till now my organization has got a data stewards and governance project and I've been asked to work on this. I'm a bit skeptical about the work, whether this will help enhance my technical skills. Okay. What happens here is that a lot of people, they get confused about when we talk about data governance, data stewardship, they think it's not a technical job. It's very much a technical job. At the same time, you get a very good advantage of to understand your business of your organization, right? And still you get to use a lot of your technical skills, and even to a further extent you can understand how this tools are working together. So I would recommend you to have a look at it, spend few months in that project. If you still feel that it is not helping you to improvise your skills, you may look at going back to your track or trying to explore something different. Can you recommend tools, commercial or open source, for integrating a non-structured data? Very good question. See, non-structured data, it's actually a big challenge right now. And there are some open source technologies that are available. To be very frank, I have not explored it, but it is coming with a big data revolution, all this. Very much we are also looking for that type of tools actually. But non-structured data are not really candidates for MDM because it will have really the big challenge. So first it has to be massaged with the right tool, get into a structured data, then pushed into a MDM. So having said, we also talked about the social network side, sending the information and all this. So it is actually in a very evolution stage, and every other vendor is trying to come up with their own products. So you would see maybe in the 3 months you may have any of the vendors coming with it, but you also there is nothing wrong in exploring any of the open source technology to address this issue. Any more questions? I think I have answered the majority of the questions.
Yes, most of the questions have been answered. Can we wait for a minute before we see any other questions coming from the attendees?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I see 2 more questions. How is the scope for QA related activities in MDM? We have a very good opportunities in MDM project. In fact, I missed this point in my webinar. So there is a good amount of validation that is required to see whether the right customer records are being created in the hub itself. Okay, so there is a lot of the recent project which we are executing for one of the automotive major. We have a good number of people from our validation team. We call it as a package assurance team, testing the application and also seeing that on a day-to-day basis whether it's churning out the right records. So you get to see during not only during the project, even after the project for 2-3 months, the majority of the companies, they engage validation engineers to see whether they're getting the right type of golden records. So there is a good opportunity for the QA engineers. How about talent MDM solution compared to others? I am not aware of talent. Maybe I will check and get back to you. If you can drop me a mail, I'll surely advise on this.
Okay, so I think now we can conclude the session now.
Sure, Keshav. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks, Dinesh, for presenting this really informative webinar. It was indeed an enlightening webinar. I would also like to thank our attendees for joining this webinar and making this very successful. The recording of this webinar will be made available on techgeek.com by Monday. Thank you so much once again. Thanks. Bye bye.